Welcome everyone to the Wood from the Trees podcast. I'm a little bit nervous now today because I have the most famous bearded man in the world here.
I don't know about the world, but
Stephen
we're
Kelly
getting there.
from the Hardy Books, 3 Books Left fame, big on Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah.
You're the man that I get all the videos on WhatsApp from America. This bearded Irishman, pure Mayo.
Pure rough and ready. And I think that's what people sometimes like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for having me on, David.
No bother, absolutely delighted. I'm actually just buzzing to have you here. Do you know when you're watching someone all the time and you're always wondering, oh God, I hope he's not a prick now. But I can assure you, we're after chatting now a good bit. We nearly have everything talked about. He's fucking dead sound. But I suppose I'm going to do what I always do when I'm talking to people. I just want to kind of know, you were born and bred in Mayo.
Born and bred in Mayo, yeah.
Where?
Castlebar Hospital for starters.
Well, that was the first place.
Swinford is my hometown, and where the Hardy Books was filmed. And it's always been my base, no matter where I've been. I've lived in many a place. I've lived in America. I've lived in Galway. Lived in Castlebar, but for some reason just can't get rid of Swinford. It's just where I go back to.
And are you from the town itself?
No, about 1.5 miles outside, so towards Meelick. Which would be a massive parish, and that's where I went to school. And for the first 20 years of my life, I couldn't wait to get out of Swinford. And now,
I get back to it.
Yeah.
And what was it like growing up in Swinford?
It's a very quiet town, and there used to be a mart in it, and Fridays used to be massively busy, but the rest of the week, nothing. And like that, always wanted to get to Galway, always wanted to get to America, always wanted to get to...
Even back then?
Even back then, yeah. Yeah. And then...
Had you a big family?
I'm the oldest of 3. I'm the only lad. Even though my uncle, who lives a stone throw away from me, if I was angry, I'd throw a stone at him. And he's been he was like a brother to me. Like there's only 4 years in the difference.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone thought we used to be brothers, but no, he was my uncle, and then I have 2 sisters.
How did you find school?
I was brilliant in school. I was brilliant in national school. I had like 3 of the 4 teachers that were in the school, and then 4 of the 5 teachers that were in the school were cousins or related to me in some way or form.
So you like school?
I liked school, and do you know what? After about 2nd class, I was the king in school, because everyone used to get on with me, and it was brilliant. But I started to put on weight in 2nd or 3rd class, and that knocked my confidence. Big style.
Really? Big
style, yeah. And I didn't get that confidence back until I was 15 or 16.
And when you say it knocked your confidence, in academically or just talking to people?
No, socially.
So you got quiet yourself?
Got very, very quiet. Didn't get into... Had to be pushed into GAA. Had to be pushed into anything, any extracurricular activity at all. I never put myself forward.
So when everyone was playing hurling, what were you doing instead?
Well, we never played hurling down in Mayo.
Of course.
But football... yeah, I might be on the fringes, or I mightn't just go at all. And then I sort of got into it, and I'd have mad bursts where this is brilliant, but then I'd get introvert again, or it would take someone to say, and it's just say something small,
then
and then
I
go back in myself, and I lost that confidence for a long, long time.
And where you went to school, when we went to school, you had primary school, small classes, and then you went to big school, and it was like big. Was that hard a transition, or did that affect your confidence even more?
No, it was easy to transition to that, but it was very similar. And then I started hanging out with an older crowd. I felt more at ease with an older crowd. As I said, my uncle, who I hung out with a lot, I would have hung out with his crowd. So I didn't actually grow up in school with my own age. And then what happened then was, I was an awful schemer. I'd mitch.
In what way?
I'd mitch. I mitched 3 months solid.
No way.
Without ever going to school.
How did you get away with that?
And the reason I got away with it is my mother used to go to work before 8 o'clock. My father would be gone. He could be gone at 7, and he might be back till 6. So there was that between 8:30 and 4:30.
You could do what you want.
I could do what I wanted, and I took full advantage of
What
it.
did you do?
I would like literally. I might run into town, and there used to be a place called Nighthawks, or the Buzz. It was later called, and there used to be arcade games in it, and I played the arcade games. Or then sometimes I just stay at home watching an awful lot of documentaries on World War One and World War Two.
Love them.
Yeah, I know. They used to be on religiously every morning on RT1 or RT2. So that was it. And
But you were still bright in school. You were
I was still bright. You see, that was it. The potential was there. Like, my family would have been expecting me to get a job with a briefcase and a suit.
So you found the academic side of school really easy. You know by you you're an intelligent man.
Sometimes a little too easy. Sometimes I'd argue with the teacher in geography or history because I'd already read this. You know, I remember pulling the history teacher up or something on a date, and then she went back and checked it. She said, "You know what?" She said, "You're right." But that was because I read what I loved, and the problem then was I got junior cert, and I done a good junior cert without even studying, without even trying. And then I went working that summer with my father.
That done it then? You had money?
That done it. I was making more money at 15, 16.
And your father's work was?
Plaster.
Plaster.
Yeah, he was a 20 killie plaster.
Would have been the beginning of the big money boom in the time.
That was 97, 98. I remember my father coming, and he was a great worker and he'd been working for him. Even though in his head, business-wise, it shouldn't have been him that should have been boss. He should have been working for someone. And I think he'll whether he agrees with that or not is a different thing. But he just happened to be the fella that people were working for. And I remember having to look into the Hoover or empty the Hoover out to get change, to get milk or whatever. That's how it was on the breadline. And then from that in 97, 98 to him coming home with bags of cash and literally, because he was a very, he wore his heart on his sleeve. He literally just got the bag and just threw it up in the air.
Do what you want with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were working, plenty of money around.
Yeah.
But well, before this, did you notice back in school that you had a performance side, that you had a comedic side? Or was that non-existent?
No, I had that when I was comfortable. I had to feel comfortable and it came out. I had it around family. And actually, I was a bit of a singer in national school. We done Frogia and that, and we won an All-Ireland with Frogia, whatever it was called at the time. And that was lovely. I was just so shy though. I was so nervous. But I got up and I done it. And and I just lost that shyness then towards the end of school. Only just the end of school. But I still wasn't fully confident.
When you start working with lads and
and
then you have money, you're hanging with guys that are 4 years older than you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's when I sort of I was further developed than I should have been at the time, socially.
Me and you were roughly the same age.
I'd say so, yeah.
I'm 42.
I'm a little bit younger than you.
A little bit younger.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been the same time. It was Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. There's money to spend it.
Yeah.
Drinking.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, I didn't start drinking, and everyone knows me for drinking pints. I didn't start drinking until I was nearly 18. I was nearly 18, and I always swore that I wouldn't drink because there were so many drinkers in my family. Even though the stories used to be brilliant, but they were always. It was just manic.
Yeah.
It was manic. So I thought, I'm not going to go down because I could see my grandmother worrying about my father and his brothers and daughters. And my own mother worried about my father. And I was like, I'm not going to put them through that. And for some reason, I just said, you know what? I'm just going to go drinking one day. And then the rest is history. Yeah. Yeah. And I made up for the couple of years that I'd let other people drink then. Yeah. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and sometimes during the week as well. And trying to go to work as well, working for your father. It was you were sent to work no matter what, whether you were any good or not.
Did you ever sleep up in the rafters?
Oh,
Up when you... I go up and I put up the insulation. Don't worry
many
about
times.
me.
But while he was there, I was like, oh, come on, now we get this done. Because I knew he'd be going. I knew he'd be going off to another job. So there was a bit brave face put on for them few minutes. And as soon as he was gone, then I was just...
And plastering's tough. It's
Plastering
hard to
is
hide
tough,
in
yeah.
plant because it's so... You just go. Like if you're doing this good and outside the houses,
Yeah.
and if you're once the stuff is done, you have to get up. And,
Yeah, and clean up after yourself
Yeah.
as well. Because if you can't, you can't half do it.
No.
You can't stop halfway down a wall and say, do you know what, I'm going to take a break. Once you started it, that's it.
So that was busy back then. Everyone was flat out back then.
Flat out.
So you were working like morning, drinking at night.
Yeah.
Did it take a toll on you?
Oh, it did. It did. Of course it did. It took until I was 27, 28 before it physically took a toll on me. Like I had a heart, like my heart stopped.
And had you started with the Hardy books or anything like that then?
I had at that stage a couple of episodes on more so YouTube, but the Hardy books was...
How did that first start?
We were actually on about it today with the producer of the Hardy books, Mike Cocaine, because we're in the process of doing new series, not the Hardy books, but something similar. Now the fella in America wants to recreate the Hardy books. That could never be recreated, and the reason it couldn't be recreated was there was so many different characters, and it wasn't scripted. It literally, in the beginning of it, it wasn't scripted. It just came about through the imagination of Martin Maloney and Chris Tordoff. And the rest literally is history. They just kept bringing on these people like myself. If I had known how big the Hardy books was going to get and had the confidence at the time to follow that dream, I would have gone with them every single step of the way. But I was only drifted in when I could fit it in.
But you know what? Because you were working, you were flat out, and you had responsibilities.
And at that stage, I had 3 kids at that stage.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So you were building, kids,
Yeah.
family life,
Partying
getting in
as well at the same
and
time.
partying.
Yeah.
That's mad.
And at by the age I was on the Hardy books, I probably had 3 houses under my belt.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I had a house when I built one house to fund, to sort of make money to make my house. Does that make sense? So I built it, done it up, and then sold it so that I could have my bigger house in around Swinford. Because at that stage I had a child and one on the way, so I needed a house.
And so burnout was coming quick for you.
Burnout came very quickly, and by the time burnout had happened...
Did you know that was coming? Heart failure? Did anything...
Well, I didn't think about it, but at the beginning it was like I felt fluey all the time. And
You're only 27.
27, yeah. And at this stage, I had a 4th on the way from a different relationship. So it was just pressure. And yeah, it was mental. But as long as the money was coming in, what was that?
What happened? Like the heart?
Just stopped. I remember not feeling well, getting to the doctor, and there was a locum doctor on at the time, so someone to cover my real doctor, or not my real doctor, but my normal doctor. He had had a heart attack, and himself, and this Dr. Morrison from Lewisburg, a lady, and people used to hate going to her because she would take so long. Whereas at Dr. Glavy, it was, well, what do you think's wrong with you yourself? He'd ask you, and you'd be in and out in no time, and you'd get whatever prescription that you were looking for. But this lady took the time, and she said, "You're not leaving the surgery until you go in an ambulance." She said, "Your heart is stopping."
You probably didn't believe it.
Yeah, I was like I did, because her face nearly dropped.
But before you went in, you would have
not
never.
At all. No way.
You just thought, I'm really, really sick.
Yeah, just really, and I had been for like a long time, but it just kept getting worse and worse, and I was coughing up white stuff, and I was like, "There's something not right here." So I said, "Well, if I have a lift," I said I was going out with a nurse at the time, and I said, "Well, I'm going out with a nurse." I said, "If I get her to come for me," I said, "Will you let me out then?" And she said, "Yeah." She said, "But she has to come to the door to bring you." My blood pressure was 240 over 160, which is double top, double bottom.
It was just about to calf.
Yeah. They were actually, when I got to the hospital, they couldn't understand why I hadn't had a stroke more than my heart to go the way it did.
What's that like?
Yeah, it's like it was like surreal to me. I used to looking down towards the end of the bed, and different doctors would come in, and they'd look at the chart first. They never looked at me first, and then when they read, you could actually see their eyes.
Were you afraid?
Do you know what? I wasn't, and do you know why I wasn't? Because I was not manic, and I wasn't panicked about anything anymore. Because nothing I could do. I had so many bills.
Just surrendered to it.
Yeah, I just surrendered to it, and I was like, this is actually a break. This was a break for me at the time. I was so busy, so manic trying to get around doing everything, that this was actually a break.
Was it stress-induced mostly?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, on top of hard living as well.
So what had to happen then?
Well, firstly, I had spent nearly 2 weeks in ICU in Castlebar. They actually initially thought I had tuberculosis, which is weird. So you're put into an isolation pen because, and they give you a patch test. It turned up negative, and then they found out it was just my heart literally was stopping. Super hypertension of the heart. So, and then everything sort of changed. My perspective changed. I was like, a lot of things got sorted for me out of that. A lot of loans that I was like struggling to pay back, because if the money was coming in, it was also going out just as quick. And
it was an exponential problem. It was never gonna.
Exactly. And anyone that was in construction at the time, the more money you made from it, the more you were expected to pump back into it. And that's exactly how it was. And of course, that's all great, good and well if you're going home then at 5:30 or 6 o'clock and you're getting up the next day at 8 o'clock. But no, I was out still partying. I was going on holidays, that sort of thing. So it was all just building up.
So did you just make a decision yourself? That's it. Fuck all that.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking after myself now. Life is.
Yeah, but then things this is about. I'm skipped now from starting work when the boom to now we're hitting into 2007. And then the twist is happening. The burst, everything was bursting as well at the time. So like there was big panic on, massive panic on in my head, and at the end of the day, I used to be putting off opening letters, putting off making phone calls. And if I'd opened them letters, if there was any advice to someone that's struggling with finance, is open the letters.
Just
make the phone call. Deal with it there and then.
Yeah.
Don't put it off any longer, because it'll just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Delayed confrontation is confrontation multiplied.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I used to, like, a lot of these letters were threatening. But then when you actually ring them, they wouldn't be that bad at all.
Fine.
Yeah, they were fine. Like, these are only...
Look at me.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not going to come through your door, like, Yeah.
But that changed your whole perception. And what was the main steps you took to calm yourself down? What was the most change you made in your life after that, when you walked out of the hospital?
That's when I got into fitness. I got into running then. I couldn't run the length myself up till that. I had an operation a few months later that on my heart. It was a trial operation. They cut off the nerves from my heart to my kidneys, because your kidneys regulate your blood pressure. And it must have been a success, because suddenly I was able to run. I was able to, I had more energy. Everything I lost a load of weight. I looked great. And it was the fitness that brought the real confidence.
Really?
Yeah.
Confidence in what I can do.
Yeah.
Or just who I am.
In what I can do and who I am. I felt great. And the fact that I could run a kilometre, like a kilometre to me at the time was, this is amazing. I couldn't run literally couldn't run the length of myself up till now. And suddenly I was doing a kilometre, then it was 3 kilometres, then it was 5 kilometres, then it was 10 kilometres, and then it was marathons.
Oh.
Yeah. And then it was 93k in one day when by the time I got to 2019. So,
fuck.
Yeah.
Loads of people probably don't know that about you.
At the time, we made a big deal because I'm still 28 now, so I've skipped a little bit further on. At 31, the fittest day I ever was, I had an aneurysm. Yeah, brain aneurysm. I was dead. Gone.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Can you remember?
By this time, I had started working in Aldi, and it was probably, physical work wise, it was probably the best 5 years of my life. I learned so much in Aldi. It's a company that makes you very disciplined, even though there's some wild nights with the Aldi crew as well. So I was working in Aldi at this stage, and I had left the other relationship with the other. And remember, these relationships with the mothers of the kids, they're all perfect. It's just it didn't work out.
In the great words of Eminem, not bad people, just bad together.
Yes, exactly. We still get on today. I could ring any of them up, and we get on well. And I always looked after the kids, and I have a great relationship with all the kids. But I'd started going out with the manager of the shop,
That's
the
how
Aldi
you get
shop.
promotion. That's how you fucking do it.
But it was to the real head honchos in Aldi. It was a no. Like, we had to keep it secret for a long time, and we were living together. Yeah.
Sexual harassment.
So
Conspiring
they
to
argue,
take crackers home.
yeah, and she, it was, she was a great girl, great lady. We were living together, and I was loving life then. I was fit as I ever was. There was the partying was going on, but it was more regulated. And we had a lovely house, the whole works. And she had actually gone to a funeral in Cork, and it was Easter Saturday night. So, and I'd been wrecked. We had to keep the relationship so of a quiet that I actually moved. I moved work to Oranmore, so that was an extra hour's drive for me from Claremorris. I was living in Claremorris. That was an extra hour's work back and forth, and I was exhausted. But again, I was keeping up the fitness, and I'd started to do, to burn out again.
Doing a
So
lot.
that was coming. And I'd invited two friends over, just to have a few cans, Easter Sunday night or Easter Saturday night, and I think the pub's closed on Easter Sunday.
They were back then, I'd say.
Yeah, they were. Whether they are now or not I can't remember.
No, they're open now.
Are they? Easter Sunday as well?
I think so, yeah.
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 I don't know about Good Friday, but Easter.
No, they're definitely open Good Friday.
Are they?
Yeah.
Because I bought booze on Easter Sunday. I don't know what the pubs are anyway.
Yeah, it used to be. It used to be closed. But anyway, I brought the two lads over, and I remember having a couple of drinks and just getting really tired, like unnaturally exhausted. So I went to bed, and that's the last I remember.
Just so.
The next thing I remember, I'm up in Beaumont. Days later.
You lost days.
Days, yeah. I came down the stairs, got to about the fourth last step, and then eyes closed, hands dropped, and then just literally fell forward.
You don't even remember going down the stairs.
Don't even remember going down the stairs.
Thank God your friends were there.
They were watching, because we had a big screen television, and they were watching some movie. I told them, I said, you belt ahead, watch whatever you want. They watched me coming down the stairs. What got to about the fourth? The only thing I can think of is that I got a headache or something, came down, because I had no reason to come down. And they said I just fell forward, and one of them thought that I was messing, and it wasn't serious. The other lad, lucky enough, had done like a medical course leading up to this, and he just finished it, and he knew straight away that there was something wrong. And he rang the ambulance, and the ambulance just happened to... There was a lot of luck involved as well. The ambulance just happened to be coming back from Tuam towards Castlebar, and literally were there in 3 or 4 minutes. And only for that... Like in Castlebar, my last rites were read. Priest was out, my family was called. They all said prayers over me, whatever. Last rites done. And Beaumont then emailed or rang Castlebar. They'd got the scan, the x-ray, whatever it is. And they said, listen, send him up. We'll see what we can do. We're not promising anything, but we'll see what we can do. And they sent me up, and it was Beaumont to save my life. And that's why I ran then. That's why I ran. When I said I ran the 91k in one day, I always said, that was 2016. I always said that I was going to repay them for saving my life if I had any sort of platform at all. And I just started up the platform in 2018, early 2019. And I came up with the idea that I'd run from Dublin to Mayo. And 2019 we ran from Dublin to Mayo, myself and Pete.
Yeah, fair play to you for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Shout out to Beaumont as well.
Yeah, yeah. We raised 16,000 for them, but if I could do twice that, I would.
So did you have to have an operation?
Yeah, I was in. They drained the blood.
Had you a previous injury to cause that?
No. It's just a bleed on the brain. That was it. Doctor Rawlock, Scottish dude. Even though he looked, when I seen him first, I thought he was Asian or like from Pakistan or one of them, but he was actually a Scottish fella. And it was him that was the surgeon, and it was him that drained the blood out of my brain. Like here, I had a plate here, very light plate here. Although you can hear is going light, if you look really close, you'll see the actual scar where they opened up here and drained the blood, or just took the.
Jesus, you've been through the waters.
Yeah, but it was the best. That was the real changer. That was the real change in my life. Then after that, anything was possible.
So you've been close to death twice,
and maybe even 3 times. I fractured my skull when I was 21.
Ah, for fuck's sake! 21. Drinking.
You drinking, yeah. But
car crash or falling.
Wait for this. This is actually a very
It's
funny
always
story.
one or the other.
Fallen.
Yeah. Drunk.
Someone
kicked legs out from under you. So.
Very close. Very close. Myself and my uncle, who I'd mentioned earlier, and what turned out to be one of my future girlfriend's fathers, Michael Hurst, and a good friend of mine, and now the grandfather of one of my kids. We were going over to Manchester just for the weekend. Mick was mad crack. We were going over on a Friday night, but the weather was terrible, and we were getting the boat over. So we landed to the Dublin port, and the flight was delayed till the evening. Of course, we went back into Dublin City.
Drink.
And we were
Show out.
yeah, O'Shea's Merchants, a couple of other places. Then we ended up in the Brazen Head. Yeah, and then I remember we were in the Brazen Head and we met up with another mate of ours that wasn't coming to Manchester, but we started drinking heavy then. We were drinking Smithwick's and vodka mix. Oh, no sense to it at all. And we remember watching this student drinking a pint of Guinness, and it took him an hour and a half to drink it, and we started taking
pints.
Yeah, we were sculling pints. He'd take this mad burst, he'd throw the hand back, the claw was out, and he'd dive in for the pint, and he'd bring it up to his mouth, and then he'd just go. It was the funniest thing we ever seen, but that's really the last thing I remember. So apparently we ran back for the car, and Mick shouldn't have been driving at all. But we ran back to the car, and myself and
Probably not.
myself and my uncle used to have this thing about getting to the front of the car, even at that age.
Calling shotgun.
That's exactly what calling shotgun. And I got to the front and I opened the door, but then I put my hands in my pockets, and Martin came running down, and he went to push me jokingly to get out of the way of the front door.
Down
And my hands were in my pockets, my head just straight back onto the curb, and literally you could hear the crack. So Mick, with his experience, had said, why, we need to bring him to the hospital. I said, he's gone. And Martin was like, not at all, he's often felt worse like that before, which I probably had, but this had connected, this had cracked.
Yeah.
And we get on the boat, they throw me in the back. The next thing I remember,
you pulled that?
Oh, I got on, yeah. I was like in the back of the car.
Concussed all
Concussed.
Weekend, going around like you were horsing
Yes.
from one end of the weekend.
Yes. It was like I was drunk all the time, even though...
And the boys just
I'd no
thought you were drunk.
But they realised after like 24 hours, not drinking, being in the same thing, that there's something wrong here. And then we went to Mick's daughter, Emer, who was a nurse. And she said there's something wrong here, like very wrong. And it was her that sort of made me go to the hospital. But I remember waiting in a hospital for 6 hours. And as bad as I was like, fuck this, just get out of here. So we waited until the Monday, until we were going back on the boat. And I went straight to Castlebar Hospital. And then they said, fractured skull, there's blood all over your brain.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That had to have,
Yeah.
would that have not anything got to do with your...
I don't think so. Like, I asked that, they said no. Should have had nothing to do with it.
You've been through the wars, lad.
Yeah. But it's given me an appreciation. Definitely the aneurysm changed me altogether, because with the aneurysm, I could, like, with the heart, I was back in work, back in action very soon. With the aneurysm, I had to take 3 months off. Like, I had to. And then I had to go around reassessing everything.
What do you spend 3 months doing after you've nearly died?
Well, for the first 4 weeks, there's nothing I could do. I was barely able to get up and go for a piss.
But you'd be sitting in the bed
Yeah,
thinking.
watching
What are you
television.
thinking?
Yeah.
What's going through your
I
head?
I don't know.
Is there any fear?
No fear.
Do you fear dying now?
I never fear. No. The only time I fear dying now is when after a mad session.
Why?
Just, do you ever, you know when you've drank an awful lot, like 2 or 3 nights in a row? Not that that happens much, only for around the live shows these days. But then on the Monday or the Tuesday, and you're sort of getting the jitters, and you're sort of tired, and you're sitting down, and you're closing your eyes, and you're like, oh shit, I'm going to die someday.
Yeah.
My parents are going to die. You know, my kids are going to die eventually. Why are we all fucking here? You know, and that's how my mind would work. And it'd be like, and then you'd get paranoid. It's like the blues. Sure, no one likes me anyway. You know, if my family don't like me. And that's just, and it'll happen usually the day after drink, not
The fear.
Yes, those the massive fear.
Do you believe in God?
That is a tough one. I do, yeah. Yeah. I don't believe in the church.
I get you.
I believe that there's something there. Yeah.
And the nearly dying, does that change you spiritually?
Do you know what? I thought it would change me a lot more, even though I'll say that I had not an outer body, well, I could call it an outer body experience, where there was messages coming through for people that I knew were religious, and they're just like, but they were for people that they wouldn't have been my first choice. I wouldn't be thinking of them normally, but in subconsciously I knew that they were religious. Like apart from my grandmother, there was an awful lot of messages came through from my grandmother Kelly, who's still alive today, and touch wood, hopefully will remain with us for a long time more. She was very religious, and the message that kept coming through to me was, tell your grandmother that all her prayers aren't going in vain. Kept repeating, and this is me like completely out of it. You know, when I was waking up from the induced coma.
And when you've been that close to death twice, do you ever think on them quiet moments, why am I still here when so many people are dying the first time they get
quite
a heart
often,
attack?
and when I'm complaining about something, or whether I'm like second guessing myself, sometimes I tap into that and say there's a reason you're still here, that you still have work to do.
It's crazy interesting.
Yeah.
I better go back to the Hardy books and stuff. how do you go from building and Aldi to comedian? Like there's I know you were in Hardy books and you have 3 books, but you're a comedian.
When you say I was in the Hardy books, I'll be the first one to say that I was a satellite character at best. Although I have my gripes with RTE, there was days and days and days I spent filming with RTE and they never showed a single minute of it. Like literally nothing. There was a whole like half an episode where myself and Kevin McGarren, who played Simcard, and all the boys were in it, but it was based on me and Simcard, whereas I was being sent out to America. I was being waked, like an old Irish wake, but I was actually just going to America. But he was brilliant in it, and it was nearly the half the episode. Spent days doing it, spent nights and days doing it. And I've been telling everyone about these great scenes, and this is going to be the opening episode. Turned on the television, Hardy Book started.
You don't even get told.
Not even. I wasn't even in the first episode. And after that, that happened a couple of times, and I just lost complete interest. So when the boys were ringing me, oh, we're going to be doing this, It was, if it happens, it happens. If not, I'm not going to lose no sleep over it. And so that was me as a character. I was probably enjoyed the YouTube versions better. Like one of my favorite scenes is when I actually tell the boys, this is on YouTube, right? I'm telling the boys that I'm not around. I just hadn't had time for the day, and I told them I wasn't in the county. Eventually, then I told them I was gone. I was out of the country, just to stop them from ringing me. Like Owen was ringing me, Martin was ringing me, Pete was ringing me, but it was the English Grand National, and I love betting. So I drove into town. And I sneak in the back door of the betting shop and I put on the bet for the national. Now I could have done it online, but the Wi-Fi or the internet used to be so shocking. I was afraid of missing the bet. So I went in and then I thought I'd sneak out the back. But when I sneaked out the back, the boys had set up outside the back door.
Caught rotten.
Completely. And if you look, if you can find the clip, it's the clip no one shouted stop. It's just me coming out of the bookie shop.
That's real. They caught you.
Oh, they caught me, yeah.
I know that clip. I know the one, and you're just like a deer caught in the headlights, and the lads are there in the alleyway.
The reason is because I was, but they just kept rolling, and that's why I'm like, what am I doing here? So they just kept rolling, and I think it was Chris Dordoff that was videoing it, and it just kept rolling. And then there was one of the traveller lads stopped on the way up past as well, and he got into it, and it just kept rolling. So yeah, that was all real.
It's amazing. Different times have different comedians. So you had Neil Tobin and you had the Tommy Tiernans. For our generation, the Hardy Books was it.
Yeah.
Because there was no one speaking to young people at the time.
Yeah.
Because everyone knew a Buzz. Mm-hmm. Everyone knew an Eddie Durkin. Mm-hmm. And we were there, oh, look, they're losers, no money, and they're messing around. And
yeah, well, that's what made it work. Because everyone could relate to it. Yeah. And it was just at a proper time.
And it was normal slang. It was normal shite talk. Because everyone talks shite talk. Yeah. And I don't think it didn't get enough traction culturally.
Yeah.
Like in Mayo, would people even understand in Mayo how culturally significant?
Mayo is the hardest place to sell anything to do with the Hardy Books. It really is. When you go to Dublin, Galway, Cork especially, everyone will be still shouting back quotes from the Hardy Books. Mayo, not a bother, not wouldn't be bothered one bit.
It's mad.
Yeah, literally nothing in Mayo.
It's Irish begrudgery.
Yeah, big style, and it's a shame. It's an awful shame because it's an awful attitude to have. If someone does well, like I mean, I'll be the first one to credit Martin and Chris Tordoff. They brought a YouTube clip that was made initially for a college project. That's where how Hardy Buck started. To Netflix.
Yeah, it's amazing. Back then.
Yeah. With cameras, with phone cameras, with the shittiest phone cameras to start off with, and then shitty really. And the only reason that it started to get somewhat of attention was they borrowed the cameras from the college. And that's when they realised that there's something here.
Who was the main writer?
You see, that's another thing about the Hardy Books. That's why it would be very hard to replicate. Everyone was the writer.
Would there be
there was an idea.
A rough idea?
There was an idea.
Because there were so many moments and they had to be fake. They had to be just off the cuff.
Yeah.
Like little things when the boys are doing an interview.
Yeah.
No one comes in. How are you women?
Yeah.
How are you women?
That was all left up to ourselves, whatever we could come up with.
It's crazy.
The scene, one of the most famous scenes of Annie Biscuits. Get them. Owen made that up on the spot.
On the spot?
On the spot. In fact, Pete will tell you, French Toast will tell you that episode was absolutely crap until Owen done that. And he saved the whole episode.
It's mad. It really is an amazing program.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you watch back now, I was watching a few clips this week, and there's so many moments that like the part where Eddie Durkin is talking to Buzz and he's there just, I wish I listened to my father, I'm sick of having no money. Wait, what did he say? Sure, I don't know, I told you I wasn't.
yeah, I was like, and that was the best bit. The best bit of the Hardy Books was actually behind the scenes. I was there for that. That was the boys of summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
was it hard to keep serious? Like, was there times that you'd have to do takes?
There was many times that some of the scenes were shot, and like someone would have laughed or whatever like that. But more so when we were doing it for RTE, because if someone came up with something that wasn't scripted and was brilliant, it usually was the stuff that wasn't scripted, you'd have to start again because someone would laugh in. Like
did watching that and seeing the traction that it got put the bug in you for comedy, or did you have it already?
No, I loved it, and then I was like, I'd love to have that much confidence to go up on live to do live shows. The reason then I got into comedy and am where I am now is the boys brought me to. They started doing live shows. Now their initial live shows were atrocious. They actually probably done more damage to the brand than any good. And then they started to improve. And I went to see them a few times in Dublin, and it just wasn't the finished article. I'd go around and I'd support them, like I'd be with them all the time. But it just didn't work on stage. It was just, they were trying to
recreate the videos.
They were sort of, and it just wasn't working on stage. Because another reason that it wasn't working on stage is because the crowd, a bit like one of the shows we done during the summer, the crowd was too wild. So they thought they were Hardy Bucks as well. So it was just too much of a mess.
Yeah. And
then I went up and Martin had wrote an actual episode, a proper play. And this is only like 2019 as well. Like this is all recent. Like $3 Left is very recent. He wrote a live episode for the stage. And I went up to Belfast to watch it with them. I went up with them, I drove up with them, and I wasn't a part of it at the time. I was just there to watch it, and it was brilliant. And I just thought, I have to get involved with that. And the next show was Vicar Street. So my first time on stage
Vicar Street
was Vicar Street.
Had you much practice?
None. We practiced the day before and that morning. And by the time the morning came around, I think we were drinking, but we went early to Vicar Street, and in fairness, Vicar Street looked after us probably too well. We were drinking Teeling's whiskey, which was only across the road, and cans of Guinness.
And this is after you've had you've no fear of stage.
No fear, no nerves. I just wanted to get on there. The only thing I was worried about was because I had lines then, and I was just afraid of letting the boys down. But when I got up on stage, it didn't matter what I could have done. The crowd just took over, and the buzz of having that many people roaring up at you in your favor is just, it was
you
just
feed off it. You can
feed off it. Yeah, I could have done a whole new show there and then.
But you can tell by your videos, with the $3 Left, you're probably the face of the $3 Left.
Yeah,
and you have a great way of interacting with people.
yeah. Well, I try to.
Because everyone knows someone like you, you're just going to say it. You don't give a shit. And you get away with it.
Yeah.
And you get away with anything you say.
I don't know how I've got away. So some people are getting banned for some of the things that I've said. And like we went to a couple of live shows I've went to, people have said, no one else gets away with using the word CUNT like you do. If that was anyone else, they'd be banned straight away. But whatever way you say it, because I think the thing is, some people oversay it as well. You have to drop it in, or any bad word, any swear word, you have to drop it in at the right time. Because if you say it 5 or 6 times, I like some of them times I've done them videos, especially the first couple of times, you try and thrash it out in your head, and then if you say it, you might drop in 2 or 3 Fs and 2 or 3, and you're like, that's overkill. But sometimes
sweet spot.
Yeah, sweet spot. You just have to find that sweet spot. Sometimes you find it in the first take. Sometimes it might take 40 takes. But when you know it, it'll be there.
And the $3, you were very unlucky with COVID.
Oh, when it came to the live shows,
that was it.
We were unlucky with COVID, and also lucky with COVID because it gave me so much ammunition. Give me so much comedy ammunition to work off.
Do you work together, or do you do your own thing and then talk about it?
Well, in the beginning, me and Pete just worked together, and Mikey, the odd time, Mikey drifts in and drifts out. Mikey is on camera what he probably is in real life as well. And we don't put any pressure on Mikey. If he's around, good and well, and if he's not, he's not. And he got married. Since he got married, we've seen him even less.
That happens.
Yeah, but he's happy out. As long as he's happy, that's 100% too.
Is it hard to be a comedian in Ireland now? When everything's so, like when you see the way the media is, and
there's definitely, I tell you what, there's a comedy clique. There's definitely a comedy circle, and we're definitely not in it because.
Is it because of the content? They can't control your content or don't know what you're going to say.
That's half of it. The other half of it is, in their eyes, we only have the platform because we had the base of the Hardy Books, which is actually not true. There was a Hardy Books page for a many long time, and it went nowhere. So there's only so much you can feed off the past. But there is that attitude with a lot of the comedy circle that, would we get the following that we have? Would we get the numbers at our shows if we hadn't had the Hardy Books behind us? And that's just pure bigotry. Like, in fairness, a lot of these have worked for like 20 years to get.
But surely there's room for everyone.
There's loads of room
because everyone has different tastes and everyone.
We don't want to stop in Ireland either. Like, our plans are to go to England, America, Australia, and Europe. Like that's not even the long term, Garnet. That's short term.
What's your favorite type of gig to do?
Like, one of my favorite gigs was when you're in control of a big audience and you're in free flow and your words are flowing off you and it's pure raw, but yet every word you're saying is just falling properly. Sometimes there could be a few hundred people there, but the room is completely
electric.
It's silent, but it could be buzzing, but it's in your ears. It's completely silent, but that they're transfixed.
And when you're doing a gig like that and there's loads of people there, are you looking at everyone or are you looking at different people at different time? Who are you talking to? Are you just focused on what you're doing? A lot of our show is crowd interactive as well, so you would definitely pick out, but it gets to a stage in the show where the words are rolling off so easy that it doesn't matter. Like, everyone is just one big face, and as long as you can hear the laughing, that's it. Or sometimes you might get a heckler that actually works in your favor, and then you throw it back at them. Like, there and then you might come up with something that goes right back, and it's just beautiful, and that's just an added bonus. But it's just a beautiful feeling to have everyone just listening to you, to be at the end of your word. It's just incredible. There's no drug that's like it. It's just a beautiful feeling. And your Instagram, like your TikToks and Instagram, they're so funny. They're so funny. Do people ask you can you do that on the live show, or can you talk about that at the live show? Or?
Well, a lot of the live show would be just an extended version of a lot of my the only thing I can't do on the live show is the wink. You can't. There's nowhere. There's only one or two places I can drop it in.
Yeah.
So
because people at different angles can't. Because the angle is important.
Exactly. And I've done some of them videos, and the video would have been 150%, but right at the end, the wink might be too slow, and I'd have to do it
or
all
too
over
fast.
again. Or too fast. Yeah. Sometimes I've developed this subtle wink now. It's more like a twitch.
I see it. And it's because everyone's waiting for it.
Yeah, people are waiting. And that's why I'm doing it every time now, because I've done just to see would people miss it or not. There was a few videos I didn't bother with it, and when I do, it's like, where's the wink? Where's the wink? Where's the wink? And sometimes then I delay it until the end, and then you're like, even I'd be like, is it there or not? And then
do you enjoy doing the videos for Instagram? There has to be times where you do the video and you're laughing yourself at and going,
there was a few of them where and that's when I know
that's going to be good.
That's when I know it's going to be
if
good.
You laugh yourself,
yeah,
it's funny.
I have a rule, not so much a rule, but a guide. If I can watch, because I hate watching myself, I hate listening to my voice. So if I can watch my video back like 5 or 6 times without saying, I'm getting sick of that, then I know it's going to work. But sometimes you could spend too long on a video, Like then I start overthinking it, and then editing it too much as well. Like I put up one about, the thing is, I done this in one take, and it had like on TikTok it had 100,000 views in an hour. It was one about the PTO shaft and the fella in Longford dying because he got his Mickey caught in the PTO shaft, and the people, they had people down from the Civil War on the COVID numbers thing, and. That was that was a one take, and it was just, I knew straight away that that's it. And I banged that one up. And after that then, I said, Jesus, that one went so well that I better make the next one brilliant. So I got someone to edit bits into it, and it just flopped. I was like, and then I nearly was like, why did the other one work? And then I went back to just doing them raw, and they were the ones that kept working and working and working.
Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah.
You can never tell.
Yeah, you can never tell.
It's like when I started, everyone was saying, oh, I started my Facebook channel.
Yeah.
Everyone was saying, oh, get some cameras, get some this, and I bought cameras, GoPros, and I was putting up all the videos. 7,000 views. I took a shite in the wood and took a video. 500,000. Fuck this shit. Like.
Yeah.
What's the point? People just want more honesty, I think.
Yeah.
More raw
pure honesty. And sometimes like some videos I put up and I shouldn't do it. I just put up just because I haven't put up anything in a couple of days. And the thing with social media, and I'm starting to learn not to heed the likes of Instagram, Facebook as much. When you're on a page, if you haven't put up anything up in a couple of days, your Instagram will start telling you, oh, you've put up nothing in
or people will start messaging you.
Yeah, or that. And your algorithms will tell you, oh, there's 40% decline in your... Take no heed of that. There's this fear that if you're not putting stuff up continuously, that your page will die. Like, unless you leave it for like 3 months without doing anything, it's not gonna die. So I'd like to think that anything I'd put up now would be thought of, or not even thought of, but quality.
And back to the negative side and begrudgery, how do you deal with trolls, and do you get much of that?
Do you know, in the beginning I wouldn't take any heed of trolls, but there seem to be just coming more and more. But into everyone, I do see all pages getting these trolls. We're real negative comments. I think TikTok is the worst.
It's the worst
one for that. Yeah.
Because it's just young lads in a room, tired of wanking themselves off, nothing else to do.
100%.
And they're just, hey, look, I said to this lad, hoping for a reaction.
Yeah, hoping for a reaction. And I very rarely do, but sometimes you just get hit at a bad time, and you're like, do you know what? Fuck you. Sometimes I just, there's been a couple of threads I got into, and I was sorry I got into them because I couldn't come off them then.
The ego gets involved.
It does a little bit. And Pete will always pull me away and just say, just leave it, just let it go. Just let it go. There's been a few lately as well. Like, the thing is, and I'm going to actually do a video on this. If you don't like something, or if you don't like someone's content, just move on. Because if you comment, you're going to get... Facebook doesn't read, or TikTok doesn't read, or Instagram doesn't read the comment that you've left. So if it's a nasty comment, they're not going to say, oh, he doesn't like that, let's not put that in front of his page anymore. Facebook automatically thinks he's interested. So they're going to keep sending you my videos, or Farmer Michael's videos, or your videos, or whoever's videos. If you keep commenting on them, they'll keep sending them to you.
You can tell actually what kind of a person you are by the content that all these apps are sending to you.
Yeah.
If you're looking at all this controversial shit and negative shit, all you're going to see is negative and controversial.
Yeah.
Like, my Instagram feed is fairly freaking simple. I have a few comedians come on, and then it's not many cars. Cars and machines. It's fairly simple. And when it comes to comments, good and bad, I think it's unhealthy to put too much mass in any of them.
Oh, 1,000%. But the thing with them nasty comments is, sometimes when you are down, and you take sometimes you take more heed of them than any other time. But the only great thing is, in fairness to the people that follow me, I don't even have to respond to some people anymore.
They do.
They take over. Like one fella, I nearly felt sorry for him. I nearly felt sorry for the fella that had left the nasty comment on my page about me, because everyone just attacked him, like literally. But the thing is, he kept responding to these. He kept responding to the negative comments back. So I was like, by the end of it, then I was like, if you keep responding to them, they're going to keep giving it back to you worse. So I just let him off.
You seem to be a very, very, very chilled, laid back guy.
In general, yeah.
Would you ever just freak out? Sometimes they have to watch the quiet lads.
Yeah, like even when we're out, I'd be always the one. Like I'd never look for a fight or anything like that. But I have very little temper. But once it snaps, that's gone. In that respect, when I have a few drinks in me, anything could happen. But it's always good natured. Always, I always have height respect for everyone. If I'm doing damage, it's usually to myself. I'm mad for the crack. As for chilled out, yes, I would like to think I'd be the one that'd be always chilled out in a disaster or a dilemma. I'd be the one that I'd like to think that I'd keep a level head. But sometimes I'm like a duck. I'm floating along on the top of the lake in the nice, still water, but underneath, my legs are paddling.
It's a fucking brilliant analogy. I like that.
Yeah, it is a brilliant analogy. I remember, remember hearing it the first time, and that's exactly what I'm like. Sometimes, be like a duck, on top of the surface.
I think there's so many men out there like that, aren't they?
Yeah.
That we're all, and I think that's why a lot of relationships don't work, because lads our job is to be strong, get on with. We're always busy.
Yeah.
You don't want to be going home to your wife pissing her off, but you're constantly, your head's fried. But you're saying nothing because there's kids there.
Yeah.
And because we don't go home going, oh, Todd's going to work tomorrow and pissed off, and oh, I hate my job, and this lad said this to me, and this, because we don't go on like we hate, they think, sure, you love your job.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? So all these men are out there suffering in silence, or as you say, peddling away like mad underneath the water, and it's hard.
And that probably leads to a lot of, that's why male suicides are probably higher than females.
There's an awful push towards hatred of men.
Massively so over the last couple of years, and I don't believe in it.
No.
I don't believe in it. I put up a few things online where it's a human thing. It's nothing to do with male or female. If you're a sound person, if you've great beliefs, whether you're male or female, that's what tells. Not all men are the same.
No, and everyone's trying to do their best.
Yeah.
And even people often say, because you wouldn't believe the messages I get from women. Some of them just think that I hate women or something. I don't. I love them. Love me wife, love me mother.
Yeah.
Men have been suppressing women for years. Just men didn't have it good years ago. There was a great quote from Jordan B. Peterson. Men and women were both trying to keep the wolf away from the doors. And years ago, the doors were very weak and there was a lot of wolves.
Yeah.
Everyone has it tough.
Yeah.
And I think that social media has people thinking that people have these lovely lives and everyone has it handy.
Oh.
And it's so...
And Instagram is probably the worst for that. You'll never put up a bad picture of yourself on Instagram.
No. And you see yourself doing it. Sometimes you're there and you go, will I put up that? Well, no, fuck it, I will. I'm having a shite day.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be going on like that either. Everyone thinks you're looking for attention.
It's a balance.
It's a balance.
You need a balance. But definitely this thing about anti-men, I don't buy it at all.
No.
I mean, if you're a dick, whether you're female or male, you should be called out. But in saying that, I respect women unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I'd be the first one to say, if you're the best at the job or anything, if it's a woman over a man, I don't care what you're.
Yeah. There's there's dickheads in every aspect of life.
Yeah.
But you can't, not everyone.
Yeah.
Not everyone. It's I say it, I worry about, I have 2 daughters and I have 1 son. I worry about my son. And the statistics are there to prove that.
Yeah.
Lads are capping themselves left, right and centre.
Yeah.
It's not for nothing.
Yeah.
It's for a reason.
Yeah.
Now that's a very morbid
route
it went down.
Yeah. No, but sure, look, we can get serious sometimes as well, and that's on the Dead Hedgehogs podcast. So it's not just 3 Books Left. On the Dead Hedgehogs podcast that we do, we've often done agony uncle sort of podcast where we get people to send in their problems anonymously, obviously, and we'll talk about them and see what best way we can do about it. And we've even had proper counsellors on to sort of back it up as well. In fact, when we got the counsellor on, the professional counsellor on, he was a lot more harder on people than we would have been. He was basically saying if people don't want to help themselves, then there's no point in them coming to him.
It's actually a verse in the Bible, if you don't cast pearls before swine. If you're trying to help them and they're not listening, stop helping.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. He said some people just can't be helped, which I was like, I couldn't believe that he actually came out and said it. But yeah, he's probably right. There's no point in wasting your time on people that don't want to help themselves.
No. And even people close to you, if people are dragging you down, whether they're your family or your friends, sometimes you just have to cut your losses and move on.
Yeah.
What's it like for a day in your life?
I need a day in my life, like I need a run every day. If I don't get that run in, I try and aim for 10k a day. There's been days when I haven't done it. There's been very rarely that I've gone 2 days without a run.
Are you addicted to it?
Oh yeah, I'm in bad form if I don't get the run in. I try and get it in early, if I can at all. But it's always in my head until I get it out of the way. It's always in my head. I have a thing where it's a trifecta of a day. If I can get a trifecta of a day, and I'll explain this in 2 seconds. First thing is a run. Second thing is work. Can I make money?
Thought you were going to say wank there.
And the third thing is a beautiful video that's going to do well. That's proper content. Like I could be putting pictures up all day long. If they're shite, I'm not going to put them up. But if I can come up with a brilliant video or content, that's the trifecta of a day. And if I can get the 3 of them done in a day, that's brilliant. Sometimes I don't get that that.
Are you most creative when you're running?
Oh yes. Oh no, while I'm running.
That's when you're thinking about the videos.
That's when the ideas. That's when the jokes come into my head.
To the jokes that you do, they're pretty on the pulse of what's going on in the country. So you're obviously keeping well up with what's going on government wise, media wise.
And I'm no daw. I would keep up to date, and like I have a knack of figuring it out fairly quickly, because that's what's made the videos popular as well. Because if I done them videos in 2 years' time or 3 years ago, they wouldn't have made any sense. So when it's relevant, the thing is, if you can keep something relevant, that's when it's going to work.
Well, everyone always says comedians are the canary in the gold mine of society.
Yes.
And you need it.
Yeah.
And that's a lot got to do with free speech.
Yeah.
But when you look at our government and the way our country is run, which is literally you only realize this when you get older, because when you're younger, you look up to these people, you think they have a moral, intelligent, higher standard.
Yeah.
And then you look and you go, oh no, they're fucking donkeys.
But the thing is, but there's an awful lot of people still in the country and that keep voting them in, because they still have this old attitude that if you made it into government, well then you must be of this higher echelon.
And you're not.
And you're not.
It's just who you know.
Yeah, it's 100%. Now, in saying that, when Leo Varadkar, for example, I actually thought he was going to do something.
So did I.
When he made a couple of speeches, and I thought, this man has a brain.
Then they get in. And whether it's the system or whatever it is, then they lose all moral compass. 100% it's the system. You know, who can do... You try your best to get in. You'll say whatever you want to get in. Yeah. And then you get in and you realise maybe for a reason they're tied up and they can't change stuff.
Yeah.
But why can't they just tell everyone?
Yeah.
Why can't they just... I say this thing. Imagine if your leaders had to answer every question honestly with yes or no. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Imagine where
they'd never do that, because it would be unpopular. It's like they're going for a populist answer all the time, or trying to. Some of them are able to think a bit quicker than others. Others completely let themselves down.
The best politicians are the ones that are able to speak the longest, the clearest, without saying anything.
Yeah.
Just talking in circles.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing. You know, when you sit there watching an interview and they're asked a straightforward question and they just go around
That's right.
and round.
That's right.
Is this for real?
And I often quite managers of football teams are quite like that as well. That they answer the question without answering it.
Stakes aren't as high though.
Yeah, well, that's true too. But what really pisses me off about the government is absolutely no compassion, no passion or compassion. They've never once came out. It's all through the lockdowns and everything like that. It would have been just a little bit easier if I thought to myself, well, he's suffering as well. Or he understands what the country is going through. Or they've never said what you can do. They've never said, like, make sure to, they've never had this policy where if you go out and exercise, you're less chance of, getting sick or eat healthier. There's never been a mention of anything about what you can do to protect yourself if you get sick.
How frustrating was that during COVID? Get your boosters, boosters.
All the
Nothing
time.
about, go for a run.
Yeah.
Lose a bit of weight.
Yeah.
Fine, get the boosters,
vitamin
fine.
C, vitamin D, whatever.
But that wasn't the main thing.
No, it was.
Let's shut down the country.
That's what pissed me off. That it was a one narrative, and that was it. And
you were demonized if you had another narrative.
Oh, like the thing is, an awful lot of, because of my anti-government and anti-lockdown videos came out. I had an awful big following from anti-vaxxers, right? Which sort of. They sort of turned on us when we went and done the live shows, because at the beginning you had to have the vaccine. Oh, so you must have the vaccine. My videos were never anti-vax. But I would have been more choice if it was up to you.
That's a free country.
It's a free country.
You should have a choice.
If you have choice, then it's up to you. I was never going to stop someone from getting the vaccine. Also, I was never going to force anyone to take the vaccine either. That was completely their decision. But. Like, I had an awful big anti-vax following, but my videos were never anti-vax. It was just, it just didn't handle the way that the government were handling it, and I just had this knack of making the argument funny.
If you'd live in any other country, what would it be?
If I had to live in any other country, I was in Sweden. That was pretty good. I loved America.
Where?
I was in Boston and I was in New York mostly.
Building,
yeah. Now I was working for a relative who had he had a big house, big company, so I was well looked after. So it was easy for me to, I worked hard.
Here's a free by leather trousers so out there.
Yeah, I did. I bought the leather trousers out there. So then I'd be going back to this real fancy house at the end of it, so I did see the best side of America. But in saying that, I've been back 7 or 8 times, and I just love that American life where everything is open all the time, everything is just that little bit bigger, and America is more Irish than Ireland.
There's so many Irish people out there.
Yeah, and they become a community in the States. Like the Irish are a community, like a proper Irish community. Here there is that begrudgery that there just is in Ireland. If someone wins the lotto, then
fucking bollocks.
Yeah, exactly. Where if my neighbour won the lotto, or even if someone I didn't like won the lotto, I couldn't give a fiddler's. I really couldn't. Best of luck to them. But that's not the attitude that's in Ireland, and it's a horrible thing.
After you've done your live shows and you're all buzzing, how did Stephen wind down?
If you've done the live show the way it should be done, you should be exhausted. You should literally
fucked getting off stage.
Yeah, you should be literally.
Would you be physical on stage?
Oh yeah, physical. Pete is very physical on stage. His show is very physical. I'm a bit of a match. I depend. Pete depends more on actions, and sort of like the visual. And I depend on it a little bit less, where I'm dependent on absolute timing with my punchlines. And some of my punchlines, some of my live show jokes, I know are world class.
What's your greatest achievement so far?
Well, I could easily say 5 kids, but that's
a given.
That's a given. My greatest achievement so far is probably the runs, the 2 big runs. If you want to be a physical thing, the run from Mayo to Dublin was just incredible. Like, we done it. We trained hard for it. It was the effort that was put into it. It wasn't just 3 days.
It was the training.
It was the training coming up to it, the discipline coming up to it,
and remembering where you came from.
Yeah.
From not being able to run the length yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And to be able to run 93k in one day.
Was that emotional?
It was incredibly emotional coming into Swinford. There's a beautiful clip of us running into Swinford, and the whole town, like, it was the only time. And I said about Mayo and not being supportive of the Hardy Bucks. That day, I knew I'd done something right. I knew I'd done something right when you seen the likes of Joe Mellis out at the bridge in Swinford, coming from Charlestown, and he was out, and he's like the local councillor, and he's out like waving you in, and the line of cars, the line of people that were up on the bridge, all the way into Swinford. It was like St. Patrick's Day. It was that sort of a crowd, and I knew then that I'd done something proper. Myself and Pete. Pete, for anyone that doesn't know Pete, he plays French Dutch in the Hardy Bucks. When I told Pete about this run, he was like, "When are we doing it?" No questions asked.
Just straight away.
Straight away. Never questioned it.
Had he trained?
He started training to say, but Pete's always been fit.
Okay.
Pete's always been running, always been football, always jiu-jitsu, surfing. But he always undersells himself too. He'll never tell you this. He'll never say, "I'm able to do that," or "I'm a blue belt in."
I've just remembered him being all spiritual. Remember, he went spiritual in there.
Yeah, well, he gets like that as well. Yeah, without drink, he would be a very spiritual dude. But he is a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. You'd never hear that from him, like never. But I remember when he got involved, he ran down. And when we were getting into Swinford, he tried. Like, by the time we got to Swinford, we had a whole crowd with us. Like, there was a Swinford AC were behind us. There was people that had just started running with us the last 20k or last 5k or whatever. So we had a massive crowd coming in, and Pete sort of wanted to fade into the background, and I waited until he was up centre and front with me, until we went in, because I knew that we had done it as a team. And that was
finish it that way.
Yeah, that's the way I wanted to finish it. But Pete wouldn't, not that he'd love that, but he likes to fade in and not get any praise when he deserves it.
Are you doing another?
But then we done a longer one. We ran the coast to Mayo, which was 320k. That one was 230k, and we done that from Mayo Roscommon Hospice. The first one was from Beaumont Hospital, because that's what saved me. And we've done little mini ones then. We done one for Rory Gallagher, a Galway lad. We done one for an Athlone lad, Connor's journey. I can't remember
his second. In the wheelchair.
Yeah. And yeah, we're planning one again, because I need something like that to work to. Even since Christmas, I've put on about 3/4 of a stone, and I know I have, because I've nothing to train for.
I think you're a beautiful looking man.
Thanks very much, David.
Very sexy.
Thank you.
How do you define success for you?
Happiness.
How do you define happiness?
Being able to live in the moment with your family or your friends. But it's very rare it comes my way, because I'm so busy in my head, so busy day to day. Sometimes you just sit back and you know that this is where you're meant to be at this time in your life. This is where you're meant to be, and this is where you're meant to have who you're meant to have with you. It happens very rarely these days.
It does.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be just when you're having dinner, or you're just talking.
It could be
someone.
anything. It could be sat out. I remember once being just sat out on the trampoline. It was a beautiful day. My kids were, all the kids were at the house. That's why Lislac is always my base. This is where all the kids come to, and they could be there for days. Like, my mother let me lead the life that I've had, because she was stepped in for me when I was off doing these crazy things, when I should have been there. My mother and my father as well, but definitely my mother. Like, I wouldn't have had the life I've had only for her.
As a comedian, like I said before, you're watching stuff. But do you ever watch your kids and look at how they look at the world, and it gives you a whole different perspective on the way you look at the world?
Yeah,
the innocence of it.
Like I'm trying. If there's one thing I could change, it is to spend more time with the kids. There's no doubt about it, because they're not. They probably see me and think I am completely crackers, because they haven't that confidence yet. Definitely the lads. The girls are a little bit, like, socially a little bit further ahead.
Yeah.
I'd love to spend time with them and build up their confidence.
It's impossible for a lot of men. You know, if you're at home, you're not working. If you're working, you're not at home.
Yeah.
As a man, you're letting out someone.
It's
you can't win.
It's a hard one. It's a very hard
you're
one.
You're constantly balancing.
Yeah, 100%. And then you might be getting grief, you know, because you're not at home spending time with, you know, with the child or whatever. But yet the bills have to be paid.
Have to.
The new things have to be bought. The clothes have to be bought, and it's never the cheapest stuff.
No.
You know, if the televisions have to be bought, and this is without the bills.
Yeah. It's just life.
Yeah.
Life is it's expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive, very expensive.
It's a funny thing that we all have to pay to live in the world we're born into.
Yeah, that's right.
It is strange
that you're not asked to come here.
Yeah,
but you're here now.
Yeah, and that's why when I look at the kids, it's you see your kids. I think it was Elon Musk said it. They didn't ask to be born. You had them. They owe you nothing. You owe them everything.
Yeah,
and you just kind of have to.
Yeah.
Roll with it the best way you can.
It's very good, actually. Yeah.
What's next for the Three Boys?
There's so many things that we've so many irons in the fire at the minute. As I said, Mikey drops in and drops out, so it's mostly me and Pete. We have podcasts lined up with the Dead Hedgehogs. The reason we called it the Dead Hedgehogs was because we wanted to sort of break away from the Hardy Bucks and have a different platform, but also not lose the Hardy Bucks as well. It's hard not to, like, you know, you'll often see people introducing us as the Hardy Bucks instead of Three Bucks. So we have the podcast going. Then we're bringing out our own stout.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, it's funny you said that. Because I don't drink a lot of stout, but when I see you fucking with stout, I'm mad for one.
The amount of people that text and say after I put up a video with the pint in it, the amount of people that say, "Geez, I'm gasping for a pint now."
So you've your own now.
So we're bringing out our own now. The only thing is, it's a craft stout for now.
Is this an exclusive for me? Is it?
I wish I've no bottles. I would love to have brought one up. It's a craft stout. Out of the bottle, I'm going to be honest as hell here. Out of the bottle, it's beautiful, but out of the keg at the minute, it's just not right. It's It's very much coffee. It tastes very heavy on coffee. But out of the bottle, it's carbonated, so it's actually better than bottled Guinness.
Where can we get this stuff now?
This stuff is being made in Limerick, and we're going launching it on May the 12th in Skeffington's in Galway. That's the first place. So the Guinness Guru is going to come down as well.
You made a right fucking ego of him.
Well, there was two of us in
That was brilliant.
That was very good.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'll say it now, he's an absolute gentleman.
Yeah.
An absolute gentleman. I seen one of the questions on it. What really, was I really that drunk with the Guinness Guru? Yeah, we were all drunk. But in my defence, I drank 2 more pints to them, and he is 6'8". But it was great fun. I'd do it again if I could take everyone's memory away and do it again. I would. It was a great day. It was a great day for Swinford. It was a great, everyone.
Great day for the parish.
Yeah, it really was. People were coming out from everywhere. All the pubs were, it was Thursday, and everyone was out because they knew he was coming. I had them pre-warned. I had the town put on best behaviour. I'm just sorry I didn't get around to all the other pubs that we missed.
And God knows the pub's needed now.
Yeah, it was a brilliant buzz, and so yeah, we just had a great time. Now, by the time the podcast came around, I think at that stage we'd even had a couple of whiskies.
Yeah.
So I remember I got into a fit of hiccups, and I was like, "Oh, for Christ's sake!"
Is it hard to design a stout or to make one?
It's not, because you're going off the brewer's advice, and so it was easy for us. And when we tried it first, it was out of the draft, and it was beautiful. But the problem is they had developed their own taps to suit this draft, and no pub in the country is going to, and they're not going to spend the money on developing a specialized tap just for $3 stout. So we're sort of dependent now. So we have to sort of go back to the drawing board with the draft, and it's draft. You see, this is the problem. It's draft that I'm synonymous with. I'm just synonymous with the pint and the cream at the end. Like one of my videos, do you ever see that one with the lady?
Yes.
That's 27 million views on Facebook alone, on one, and then I released it again with the link for the live shows, and that is nearly 1 million. So, and that's only like 15 seconds long.
How have Guinness not gone to you?
They won't. Why would they? They're getting free advertisement. They're gonna, and they don't pay Dara either, the Guinness guru. Like, he gets nothing off Guinness.
Ireland's a weird country.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
We're all big fucking egots.
Yeah. We're so literally, like, I remember a couple of people texting in, and they're 100% right. You know, why would Guinness need to put up any advertisements when the gobshites around the country are doing it for them? Meaning me and Dara and the likes.
Never send you anything.
Guinness? No. I got stuff from Budweiser. Yeah. I got loads of stuff from Budweiser. I got loads of stuff from Muff Liquor company in Donegal. Muff, obviously.
Muff Liquor.
Yeah, it was a beautiful
God, that's a name.
It's a beautiful name. Actually, they sent me...
Look at it in a mirror.
They sent me...
Where's the town, Muff?
Liquor Muff.
Top of Donegal. So they sent me this brilliant thing for the phone as well.
That's brilliant.
So, and a load of their gin, and I wouldn't be a gin drinker, but Christ, it's beautiful. It's the best gin I've ever drank.
Okay.
Yeah,
you have to have Alan Clark's cookie gin. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Mate.
There's one thing I want to take from this podcast is I want to be as famous as Alan Clark.
Alan Clark's. Well, all you have to do is instead of running, do more squatting in the gym. Because he does 1,000 squats every day to have a tight little arse like that.
Does he?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Well, I haven't taken much attention of his arse.
Oh, no. Hey, look, the minute he walks into the room, you can't help but...
Alan actually used to work in Aldi. Alan worked in Castlebar Aldi when I started in Claremorris Aldi.
Said it was one of his favourite jobs.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he loved it.
Well, the people under him didn't love it.
He was too much of a boss, was he?
Yeah, apparently he was a tough boss.
He's a very professional guy, though.
He is. Yeah,
you know,
anything he does is done right, and he's doing, like, he works hard.
Oh, he works hard.
He does, yeah. Even on the social media side of things, he really does.
Yeah, like he was supposed to come up this week and do a few videos with me launching clothes, and he is just up to his eyes.
I bet.
It's called in.
Yeah.
Because I think he's working in the radio station, then he gets called in and he has to fill in for people.
Yeah.
And I suppose he's handling his own social media.
Yeah, which is no sneeze.
It takes time.
Yeah, it does, of course.
And people think you should be doing it for nothing.
Yeah.
So am I going to get any of this drink now?
Do you know what? I'd love for you to come on May the 12th.
I'll come every day, but I don't go to that.
I'd love you to come in, but I'll definitely get it sent to you, and then I want you to tell us what you think of it.
I will. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fucking love that.
We literally didn't get enough of it ourselves. I mean, how am I meant to promote this bottle? So there's a little bit of a thing with the brewery.
The next time you have it, come back here again.
Yeah.
We'll have a few drinks.
Well,
get a few of the boys in. We'll drink ourselves silly in here.
Yeah.
And record something.
Couple of crates of it.
Could be messy.
Yeah.
And any live shows coming?
With myself and Pete, we met up this morning to plan out the live shows. And the reason we haven't had the live shows already booked was we were meant to be filming this, like, 30-minute episodes in mid-June. So we put it off. We wanted to concentrate on this because we're actually being funded, and funded well, for this. But then your man put it off to the middle of August, which sort of pissed me off a little bit because I had left booking the gigs when I should have been booking them a month ago for June, for July. But we're just going to go ahead with our own plans now. We're not going to. I shouldn't have waited. I should have just belted ahead with my own plans and then work around. When you have solid days, then you can work off that instead of waiting for people. That's one thing I've learned in the last. You're learning all the time on social media. Don't depend on anyone. Just keep on going what you're going, and then work around. Let them work around you.
Yeah, and go with your own gut.
Yeah,
on stuff.
Yeah. So the live shows, we will definitely go back to Athlone again. It's a great place to start off a tour because it's right back in the centre of the country. And then we've left Dublin for a couple of years. No, actually we done one show in Dublin, Workman's. But we've left it intentionally because we'd done it so much. We wanted to let the juices flow, and it's great to go back into it fresh. And we're going to do all the cities, and then Wexford as well. We promised the Crown that we go back to them because they looked after us very well.
You look like a folk singer.
Well, you're not the first person to say that. Yeah.
Do you burst out now a tune?
I can't say. I was a brilliant singer as a kid.
Bet you when you're drinking, you
can't sing now. And the reason I don't break into song is when I've drink on me. Even though we end the show now on a song, Dirty Old Town, but I need to get a few more belters like that into the repertoire because it's if a show was failing, which not very many shows do fail, but the likes have been down in Kerry when there was 150 people in a 120 room, all they wanted to do was drink. The guitar would have been brilliant because everyone would have got behind it. You can
focus their attention
on
wind them
guitar.
down.
Yeah. So it would be great to have that arsenal.
Can you play an instrument?
I can't, but the lad just come around with us, Terry, he knows how to play guitar. Pete, the French toast, knows how to play the guitar. He knows how to play the harmonica as well.
Okay, so. French toast knows how to do an awful lot.
He does an awful lot. He'll never say it.
He's big into the farming.
He's like farming as in vegetable farming.
Yeah,
he's pumped himself into that. He was always grounded. He was always earthed. He always loved the soil. He always loved the sea. He's a brilliant swimmer as well. He's a qualified surf instructor, and he's a qualified swim instructor.
Jesus, maybe he'd learn me how to surf and swim. Does he like mushrooms?
Magic?
Yeah,
loves them.
Is he microdose?
He'd be full duck, no dindins. I love mushrooms myself, but it's very rarely I get the chance to try them. If I could get them, I'd nearly have I'd microdose.
The edible ones. It's hard to.
Well, the only way I've ever had them was in soup, and tea, like a tea.
Tea.
Yeah.
They're hard to manage the dose.
Well, I've never actually made it up myself. I've always had people making it for me. And the first experience, and to this day probably the best hallucinogenic experience I've had, was this lad called Ian near Dundalk. And we were out camping.
That's a trippy place to do it.
Yeah. We were out right on the sea near Carlingford, and it was an absolute class spot. And there was 8 or 9 of us. There was maybe even more. There might have been 12 of us. A lot of them were musicians, brought the guitars with them. We had a camper van. And next thing he made up this, he was like a professional drug dealer. Mm. He had a suitcase.
So he knew.
To the millimeter or whatever they measure it in milligram. He opened up the case, and in the case was actually it was designed to carry drugs. And it had a Bunsen burner in it as well. And on top of that, he had a little bit of a saucepan. Brought mushroom soup with him from Aldi. Poured it in, boiled it up, put in the mushrooms. And there was only 3 or 4 of us that had proper doses, and I was one of them. And by Christ.
What kind of an experience was it? Was it more visual or was it audio?
Visual. It was everything. Everything visual, and I was coming out with stuff. If there was a camera on me, it was pure gold. I actually, when I was talking, I was sharp as a lance, and then you drift into these mad giggles and mad visuals.
What were your visuals? At the sea and stuff, it must have been mad.
The sea kept changing colour
and sparkling.
It was getting dark. It was just evening time, so the sun was going down, so it was already beautifully coloured. But then the sea and the sky were changing into these like Indian figures, like the Medusa and when the waves would come in, it might start off yellow and then develop into this mad red wave, and it would just wash over you. And there was these mad sort of patterns and designs, but very Indian based. You know, like the thing in the middle of the forehead and that sort of thing. It was just crazy. And then, when I'd start chatting, I was so sharp with my answers. And then they went off to get driftwood for the fire, and they landed back with this stick, and it was probably too big to put into the fire, so they asked me to break it. But I fell in love with the stick. I give it a name, Chloe. You know, and next thing, like we were having moments together.
Yeah.
And but then I found a reason to break up with her. And then eventually I threw it into the fire. But no, it was a crazy experience. And the most recent was after a show. We went back. It was down in Limerick. And that was more like I could figure out what these figures were, these visuals. So we'd taken it, and it took a while to kick in, but when it did, I felt like I was in a Salvador Dali picture, and everything was, my hand was getting bigger and bigger, and suddenly it was sort of devouring my face. But in a beautiful way, in a really soft way. And then the cupboard, which was just straight out, had no door in it. It was just a box and then a shelf across near the top. That was turning into a giant teddy bear. And it was sort of like laughing at me. It was brilliant. Because there's no badness. And the beautiful thing about mushrooms is there's no come down.
No, they just flutter away.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you get a bad one.
I've never got a bad one.
Fuck. Yeah. Sometimes now it can be freaky.
Yeah.
But I think it's the frame of mind you're in.
Maybe.
You know, if you're in a nice setting.
Pete has had bad trips. I've never had a bad trip.
I think the secret is to have people with you that know the crack.
Maybe.
That was I really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
You're a fucking lovely fella.
Cheers, thanks a million.
When you get that beer,
likewise.
I want you to bring
I
it
will,
here,
definitely.
and we'll have another one, and we'll have a few drinks, and it'll be even better crack.
Brilliant. I might even bring French toast up.
Do bring. I fucking love. I'd be psyched out if I met on. They say don't meet your heroes. It's not true. You're so sound. Thanks a million,
David. And I extend the invite to both of you to if you're hanging around May the 12th, call down.
Absolutely, will do.
Yeah.
Thanks a million for coming, and
no
thanks
problem. It was an
everyone
absolute pleasure
for listening. And I will see you all next week. Thanks a million. Good luck.